Hey, Pat McCardle back for another episode of Shop Talk, where again, we're outside doing some demonstrations of competitive vehicles. We got the all-new RZR XP comparing against the Kawasaki TERYX and the Honda Talon. We're going to be doing some dynamic stuff today, as well as a little bit of a walk around on the outside. So stay tuned to learn more. All right, let's start in the front of this machine and work our way back. So on the front, we've got this beautiful new bull bumper on the front end, integrated tie-down points, and a nice strap if you ever need to, do any recovery of a vehicle. Coming back, we got these huge 30-inch tires, all new on the RZR XP. Got a nice set of Walker Evans needle shocks. That actually gives you kind of two stages of damping and rebound with the needle up in the top of the stroke there. Coming back, we got full coverage on the doors on the RZR XP, so you don't have to worry about too much stuff coming in through the bottom. All new cage profile on this rig. We got the nice frog skins in the back to keep things out of your air intake and clutch inlet as well. We've got a huge cargo box in the back of this thing, so you can see you got tons of space to take everything with you for the day. And just as a reminder, this machine's 64 inches wide, and of the three vehicles we've got here today, it's got a wheelbase that's in the middle. So it's almost the same, little longer than the Honda Talon, but it is quite a bit shorter than the TERYX. So with that, let's move on to the next one. All right, next up is the Kawasaki TERYX. So just as a heads up, the windshield wiper and the light and the windshield here are accessories on this unit. So just want to make sure people are aware that we're close here, but not everything's 100% stock. Front end of this one, on this particular trim, you've actually got a built-in winch, which is kind of cool. We've got bigger 31-inch tires on this, similar, style of rim, not a beadlock on this one either, but, painted wheel. We've got Fox live valve, so a little bit bigger shock package because this machine is a little bit wider. So the Kawasaki here, the TERYX, has actually got a 68-inch overall width, so it's a little wider than the RZR and the Talon, and it does have a much longer wheelbase as well, so the footprint on this rig is bigger. As we come back, you can see full coverage doors, so we got nice half doors here as well. One thing on the rear doors is because this has actually got flat seating, it doesn't have stadium seating like the other two. If you're a shorter, statured person from the waist up, it's a little bit harder to see over this door, so the sight lines aren't quite as good. Coming around to the back, we do have some nice high clearance suspension components on this particular trim, so that'll help you out a little bit with ground clearance. But when you get to the back, this thing does actually have a subwoofer in the box that eats up some of your cargo space. So you can see here, this kind of cuts off the front third of your box, and the back of this is just open. So where the RZR's got a nice tub to help kind of keep things in, you have to get an accessory to close off the back of the Kawasaki here. All right, so let's go through the Honda Talon now. So this one's got a couple accessories as well. This giant front bumper and winch aren't stock on this model, I believe. The rest of it is pretty much how you get it from the factory. Coming down, looking at tire size, the Talon's got the smallest of the bunch. These are actually 28s on the Talon, so smallest tire size by a couple inches right here. This does have a big set of Fox live valve shocks, front and rear, so you got that going for it on the Talon. Coming back here, you can see we don't have full coverage on the doors, so there's actually a big opening here on the bottom that allows dust and debris to come through as you're riding. Stadium seating on this one, so you got pretty good sight lines out the back. And wrapping around to the back end here, you can see the cargo box on this one is wide. It's not too deep front to back, and again, doesn't have much of a shelf on the back to keep everything in. So got to make sure you strap everything down in the back of the Talon when you're hauling it around. All right, we gave you a quick exterior walk around of all three vehicles. Now we're gonna jump in and we're gonna showcase for you how many turns it takes to go lock to lock on the steering wheels and do a turning radius comparison. So we'll kind of get an overhead shot showing how big the arc is that all three of these can make when they're in all-wheel drive. All right, we got the TERYX at full lock left. We're gonna turn this thing all the way to right. I want you guys to pay attention to how many times the steering wheel goes around. Oh, I forgot. No power steering unless the engine's running. Hang on. So full lock left, steering is just to the left of 12 o'clock here for me. I'm gonna go all the way around once, I'm gonna go all the way around twice, plus a little bit more. So this thing is a little over 2 turns full lock to lock. All right, we're in the RZR XP now, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but my steering wheel is full lock to the left. So I want you to pay attention. My wheel is basically 90 degrees turned right now. So I'm gonna go 270 degrees, and another 270 degrees. So if you didn't catch, that's basically a turn and a half to get lock to lock on the RZR. So it is a faster steering rack ratio on this machine than the TERYX was. All right, I got the Talon at full lock left, steering wheel straight up and down. Count the turns. Ooh, not much assist with the engine off on this one either. But 2 full locks on the Talon to go rack to rack, so on the steering stops. So we got the RZR at a 1.5 turn, the Talon's basically a 2, KRX is a little over 2 for total number of turns. So let's move on to the steering radius demonstration next. All right, we got the Honda Talons here. I'm gonna fire this thing up. We're gonna shift the suspension to normal, the drive system to I-out 4-wheel drive, low gear on the transmission. I'm gonna go full lock to the right. We're gonna do 1 circle here. All right, suspension's normal, I-4-wheel drive engaged, all the way to low. Steering wheel at full lock to the right, and here we go. So I'm gonna go slow, holding the steering wheel all the way to the clockwise setting. As we go in a circle here, we should end up right back near the cone we started at. All right, we're in the RZR XP this time. So I'm gonna put this one, I'm gonna start the engine, put it into low gear, make sure I have the all-wheel drive on, go full lock to the right on the steering, make 1 loop, and then end about where I started. So here we go. So all-wheel drive engaged, transmission in low, full steering lock to the right, and I'm gonna hold it. You'll notice that it only goes 3/4 of the way around. And here we go. So as we go around the circle, I'm holding the steering all the way locked to the clockwise position. Going slow, about 5 miles an hour. Coming right back to the cone we started at. And boom, we're there. All right, so now we're in the Kawasaki KRX. We're gonna do 1 in 4-wheel drive, and we're gonna do 1 in 4-wheel drive locks. This one's in 4-wheel drive. We'll leave the suspension in normal. Transmission's in low gear. I'll start the engine, take the parking brake off, turn fully clockwise to the right. We'll do a lap, and then we'll start over, do it again in 4-wheel drive lock. So here we go in 4-wheel drive open. So parking brake off. Suspension is normal. 4-wheel drive is a 4-wheel drive. I'm full clockwise, and here we go. Alright, holding the steering at full lock. Again, we're going, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, about the same speed as the other machines. Coming around for the full turn here. And just like that, right back at the cone. Alright, now on this time on the KRX, we are going to start the engine, leave it in low, take the parking brake off, suspension normal, full lock on the 4-wheel drive, and do the same thing again. So here we go. Alright, parking brakes off, low gear, suspension normal, 4-wheel drive lock. We're going to go full lock to the right, so clockwise on the steering, and here we go. Again, as we go, I'm holding the steering wheel all the way clockwise. We're going about 5 miles an hour with the diff lock engaged. Back to where we started on that one. All right, the next demonstration we're going to do today is all about front drive performance. So think all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. So down on the ground, we've got 3 sets of rollers. And if you look at these, you'll see that they move really easily, right? As I'm dragging my foot around. And we've got one up in, that's going to be the front corner, that this one's fixed. So we're going to drive each vehicle on here. We're going to start with it in either the all-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, or 4-wheel drive settings. We're gonna slowly go into it in low gear like you would if you were climbing rocks or maybe, in mud or snow. And this is to really simulate a very low tractive surface. So think of like that, Georgia clay when it's wet, riding around in the snow up here in the Midwest, or those types of environments. So we'll do one machine at a time. We'll show you what happens, and we'll kind of talk about the front drive and what's going on and why it either works well or maybe doesn't work so well. So here comes the first one. All right, so we've got the Kawasaki TERYX up right now. I've got my buddy Nick in the driver's seat, and he's gonna pull this machine forward in 4-wheel drive, low gear, to get himself onto the rollers. So Nick, come on up and get this thing positioned. What you guys are gonna see is he shouldn't have too much trouble getting this thing situated, right? He gets all 4 wheels up, and now as he slowly eases into the throttle, what you'll notice is all 3 tires that are on those slick surfaces are rolling, but this front tire isn't doing a darn thing. And even if he throttles up a little bit, he just keeps spinning, and because he's got an open front diff right now, that passenger side front tire isn't doing anything. So Nick, hit the brakes, switch into 4-wheel drive lock, and this KRX should be able to climb right up and over out of this obstacle. So as we go, front diff's locked. You can see he's easily able to get up and over that, just like you'd expect on a machine that's got a fully locked front axle. All right, next up is the Honda Talon, which has the i4-wheel drive system. So this machine's actually got a fully open front differential with an ABS style controller that can modulate the brakes so that the wheel that's slipping will actually get the brake drug to try and transfer the power over to the wheel that has traction. So we've got Nick in the seat, he's got it in i4-wheel drive. We'll have him pull forward here onto all rollers and give everybody a demonstration of what this one looks like. So as he goes, he's gonna try and creep up here, get all 4 wheels positioned, and now slowly accelerate like he's gonna, crawl over the obstacle here. And what you'll see is the 3 wheels start spinning as he's going. And once he starts picking up a little speed, it'll break that driver's side wheel enough to let the passenger side engage, get up and over that obstacle. All right, so now we got the RZR pulled up to the same front drive demonstration here. Nick's got this machine in all-wheel drive, in low gear. He's gonna drive this one up to the rollers and stop. And then the instant he hits the throttle, this one's just gonna climb right up and over. It's not gonna have the other wheels spinning like you've seen on other models. So Nick, go ahead. So as he goes, he's pulling up easy, climbing up onto the rollers here, stopping. And now, as he gets into the throttle, you'll watch that front wheel will just climb right up and over without the other wheels even spinning much. So that's the beauty of the Polaris on-demand all-wheel drive system. So we covered off on quite a bit on this head-to-head episode. We showed you the Kawasaki had a little bit bigger turning radius when it was in full lock, but it was able to get over the rollers. When the diff was open, struggled with it. A lot of hand-over-hand action on that one, and the Talon with those 2-turn racks. The RZR, nice quick rack. You could keep your hands at 10 and 2. Climbed over the rollers, had a nice tight turning radius. So that's it for this episode of Shop Talk. Be sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you want to see next time.